All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into the world of Masayoshi Son,
Ah, this will be good.
the kind of mysterious founder of SoftBank.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you've at least heard of him before.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who basically hit the jackpot with Alibaba,
Mm-hmm.
but he's also kind of famous for,
Well, he makes some big bets,
I
right?
think, yeah.
That sometimes, well, they blow up in his face pretty spectacularly.
So is he a visionary, genius, just a reckless gambler? Maybe all of the above.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, that's what we're going to try to figure out today.
It's interesting, Son's story. It's like it follows the rise of tech over I don't know, the last few decades.
Yeah.
He was there like every step of the way,
Right.
from personal computers to the internet, then mobile phones,
That-
and now AI. It's like he's riding each wave.
Yeah, and each time he makes these giant bets
They really are.
that they either make him a ton of money
Right.
or just completely crash and burn.
Yeah, and when we say huge bets, we mean like seriously huge. Yeah.
Decisions that can shake up entire markets.
Like he once lost, what was it, $70 billion?
Yeah, and the dot-com crash.
That's gotta be like the biggest financial loss
His.
by a single person in history.
Ever.
But then somehow he managed to bounce back from that.
I know, it's incredible. What's really interesting is even losing that much money didn't change his style, really.
Yeah.
If anything, it cemented his approach.
To investing, you mean?
Yeah.
Which is...
Go all in on just a few companies, knowing that some will fail, but the ones that win, they'll more than make up for it.
Yeah, okay, so let's back up a bit, right? And kind of unpack how he got to this high stakes, high risk investment style. I mean, his early life was pretty crazy. We're talking immigrant family, growing up in Japan, bullying.
Oh, wow.
And then this really bold move to America when he was only 16.
16, wow. This is if you want to understand Son, you really got to look at this time in his life.
Imagine this, a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
selling arcade games, inventing gadgets, just completely laser focused on his goals.
Yeah.
I mean, it says a lot about his drive, his comfort with risk, this focus he has on scale and speed.
Mm-hmm.
These all become major themes throughout his career.
I was reading about his early business ideas, and there's just one that stood out to me. He had this plan, right, where he wanted to earn $10,000 a month,
What?
but working only 5 minutes a day.
What?
Yeah, it sounds too good to be true.
It does, yeah.
Can you explain that? How is that even possible?
Well, the idea was to import and sell electronic dictionaries,
Okay.
which they were getting really popular at the time.
Right.
So he basically, saw this opportunity, figured out how to make it work. Of course, everyone thought he was kind of crazy.
I bet.
But, I mean, it shows how he thinks, outside the box, this unwavering belief in his own ideas.
Yeah, and when that didn't work out, he just kept going, shifted gears, and focused on inventing. And ended up selling a patent
Oh, yeah.
for a pocket translator
Mm-hmm.
for $1.7 million.
At 19 years old.
19, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, this is classic Son, constantly challenging everything, always looking for the next big thing, and never letting setbacks stop him. He seems to, almost believe that success is a numbers game.
What do you mean?
If you keep swinging, eventually you'll hit a home run.
I see, yeah. And hit a home run, he did. He kind of conquered the Japanese software market with SoftBank, but then he decided to go after the dot-com boom in the U.S. And, well, that's when he had that huge setback, lost a crazy amount of money when the bubble burst.
It's hard to overstate the impact of losing that much money. Most people would have, I don't know, given up.
Yeah.
But Son, he not only survived,
Right.
he thrived.
It's kind of it just, I don't know, reinforced his belief in making these bold bets on just a few companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, understanding that some will fail.
Yeah.
But the potential rewards, if they win, they could be astronomical.
And that brings us to, his most legendary gamble, Alibaba.
Ah, yeah.
This story is investing folklore at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He meets Jack Ma, sees something in him,
That sparkle.
the sparkle, right?
Yeah.
And invests $20 million
Mm-hmm.
in this tiny Chinese company.
Tiny at the time, yeah. What's amazing about this is it was all intuition.
Really?
Yeah, he famously said that he saw the sparkle in Jack Ma's eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it.
Wow.
And, well, it turned into one of the best investments of all
no,
time.
I mean, the $20 million turned into...
Tens of billions.
Wow. I mean, that's the kind of thing that makes people call you a visionary.
Right.
But it probably also contributes to the idea that he's more about gut feelings than,
than careful analysis.
Yeah, would you say that's fair?
I think it's a recurring theme for sure.
Okay.
He's known for making decisions fast, sometimes with very little information. He talks a lot about thinking 10 times bigger than everyone else, disrupting things, creating the future. And sure, that's led to some big wins, but it also makes you wonder about how sustainable his approach really is.
That's a great point. And that kind of leads us perfectly into the Vision Fund.
Here we go.
This is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
We're talking about a $100 billion venture capital fund
Oh, wow.
focused on AI, the biggest of its kind in history.
It's massive.
So can you tell us a little more about, what Son wants to do with this?
This massive fund.
Yeah.
I mean, the Vision Fund it's like his most ambitious thing yet. It shows just how much he believes in this AI revolution. He really believes that AI will surpass human intelligence.
Wow.
And he wants to be leading the charge.
So what's the strategy? What kind of companies are they putting money into?
They're going after companies developing cutting-edge AI tech across a bunch of different sectors like healthcare, transportation, robotics, finance. Son's vision is to have this portfolio of companies that will just dominate these industries in the future, all powered by AI.
And he got some serious backing for this, right? I heard he got like a $45 billion commitment.
Yeah, from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund.
In 45 minutes.
45 minutes, can you believe that?
That's insane.
It's another example of Son's ability to just secure these massive investments, just based on his vision and his persuasion.
Yeah.
But it also shows the potential risks, right?
Oh.
Of putting this much money in the hands of one person.
So here we have this incredibly ambitious investor with a history of, making huge bets, believing in the power of AI.
Yeah.
And now a massive fund to make it all happen. It sounds like it could go either way.
It really does.
Like incredibly successful or complete chaos.
Yeah, it's like we're on the edge of our seats wondering which way it's going to go.
Yeah. And some people are worried that, with the Vision Fund, Son could actually end up distorting the market.
Yeah, it's a real concern.
What do you think about that?
It's just the size of it, right? It gives him so much influence. Critics say he could inflate valuations, push unsustainable growth, maybe even create bubbles.
We've already seen some examples of that, right?
Yeah.
With some Vision Fund investments. WeWork comes to mind.
Ah, yeah, WeWork. That was a big one. Went south pretty fast.
That valuation plummeted.
And the CEO, he had to step down.
It's a cautionary tale, isn't it?
It really is.
About, the risks of Son's strategy.
All that rapid growth. The super high valuation. It was all fueled by
The Vision Fund.
Exactly. But turns out the business model wasn't so great.
And it all just imploded. So do you think Son's philosophy of think 10x bigger can sometimes backfire?
It's possible.
Like pushing companies to grow too fast without, a solid foundation?
Yeah, that's definitely a criticism people have. And there's some evidence to back it up, too. He's all about, encouraging the companies he invests in to be aggressive, dominate the market, think big,
But that can lead to problems.
It can, recklessness, like we saw with WeWork.
But then you have Alibaba, which basically more than made up for the losses from WeWork.
And others. Yeah.
So maybe he just has a knack for picking winners.
He does have a remarkable track record, that's for sure.
Even if some of his bets don't work out.
Right. Even the best investors make mistakes. The question is, do his wins outweigh the risks he takes?
And speaking of his approach, he's kind of famous for making decisions super fast.
Yeah.
Sometimes after one quick meeting. There are stories of him investing billions.
Millions, yeah.
After a 15-minute conversation.
It's crazy.
Is this part of his genius or just reckless?
Most investors would, do a lot of research.
Diligence and all that.
Exactly, before investing that much. But Son, he operates on instinct, gut feeling.
That sparkle.
Yeah, he's looking for that sparkle, that thing that tells him a founder has the drive, the vision.
It's wild, isn't it?
It is.
Trusting your gut more than, spreadsheets.
But it's hard to argue with the results.
Yeah, even if his methods are a little unusual.
It's important to remember, though, that even though he makes quick decisions, he's also really knowledgeable about tech and the forces that are shaping the future. He's not just throwing money at any idea that comes along.
Right.
He has a vision, and he looks for companies that fit that.
And that vision goes way beyond AI, right?
Yeah.
He has this whole 300-year plan for SoftBank. Which sounds kind of crazy.
It does, yeah.
Talking about investing in companies that can help us communicate with dogs, develop telepathy technology, even this futuristic city, Neom. with flying cars and an artificial moon.
I mean, at some point, it's hard to tell if it's visionary thinking or
Well,
science fiction.
I get it's like, do you take it seriously?
Right.
Or is it just a billionaire with too much time on his hands? I'll admit, I'm both intrigued and skeptical.
Yeah, I get it.
On one hand, imagine a future where you can talk to your dog or fly around in your car.
It's exciting.
But on the other hand,
Huh.
it just seems so... Yeah.
It's good to remember, though, that Son, he's made predictions before. That seemed crazy at the time. But then turned out to be right.
Like what?
Like, he was an early believer in the internet and mobile tech, and he was right about both.
Okay, so maybe we shouldn't dismiss the 300-year plan just yet.
Maybe not.
It's almost like he's challenging us, you know, to think bigger about what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
He's not looking at the next few years or even the next decade. He's thinking generations ahead.
And he's willing to make these bets.
That most people would think are insane.
Just to pursue that vision.
And that long-term perspective
Yeah.
shows in how he invests, right?
Absolutely.
He said that he's not afraid to lose money in the short term if it means setting himself up for success in the long run.
It's a different way of thinking about it.
Yeah, he's willing to deal with losses and setbacks.
Knowing that in the end, the winners will make up for it.
It's a key part of his strategy.
That is.
He's not looking for quick wins. He's building this portfolio of companies that he thinks
Will define the future.
and he's patient enough to wait for it to happen. So we have this like mix of traits that almost seem contradictory. Impulsive, yet patient. Intuitive, but really knowledgeable about technology.
Okay.
Willing to take short-term losses, but focus on the long game. It's almost like he's playing on a different level.
He's definitely an outlier.
Yeah.
His approach is so unconventional, so risky.
That's successful.
Yeah, it's hard to put him in a docs.
It really is.
He's a disruptor, a visionary, and maybe
Yeah, a bit of a gambler.
a bit.
And that's what makes him so interesting, right?
Absolutely.
He's not just another rich investor.
No, he's a character, a mystery.
Yeah.
We're drawn to his story because it challenges, like, how we think about the world, how success works, what's possible with technology.
Yeah. He makes you think.
He does. He forces us to ask questions, to be critical, to consider different perspectives.
Even if we don't agree with his methods or his vision.
Exactly. It's valuable.
So as we start to wrap up our deep dive into Masayoshi Son, what are the key takeaways? What can we learn from this guy who seems to defy all the labels?
I think there's a few things. First, success isn't always a straight line.
Right?
Son's journey has had, huge wins and massive losses, but he never let the setbacks stop him.
Yeah. It's pretty inspiring, you know,
Yeah.
someone who's willing to take those risks and keep going even after failing. But beyond that, what does his story tell us about tech and investing?
Well, it really highlights how important it is to have a long-term vision. You know, most investors, they're focused on the short term.
Yeah, quarterly earnings and all that.
Right. But Son, he's playing a different game. He's thinking decades, even centuries ahead. It's a good reminder that sometimes the biggest rewards come from waiting and dealing with those short-term setbacks to reach a bigger goal.
And that long-term vision kind of explains his controversial investment style, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people criticize him for inflating valuations, pushing unsustainable growth, even using his money to like stifle competition.
He definitely does things his own way. He's not afraid to invest in companies that compete with each other.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes even pitting them against each other.
Wow.
He's willing to make huge bets with, like, very little information, trusting his gut and his vision more than, traditional financial stuff.
Yeah.
And he pushes the companies he invests in to grow fast, dominate their markets, even if it means sacrificing profits in the short term.
He's playing by a different set of rules.
Kinda, yeah. He's on a different timeline with different priorities, and sure, people criticize him for it, but he's also had some amazing successes. It's high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone, but it's made him one of the most influential people in tech.
And his influence, it's not just about the companies he invests in.
Mhm.
He's shaping entire industries, right? With his bets on AI, robotics, all this transformative tech.
Mhm.
It's like he's trying to build the future.
Yeah, the future that he sees.
One investment at a time.
There's this, like, boldness to it
Yeah.
that's both, captivating and kind of scary.
Yeah.
He's not just trying to make money. He's trying to, like, reshape the world.
Wow.
Whether you admire him or fear him, he's a force to be reckoned with.
But what happens when one person has that much power?
It's a good question. A lot of people are asking that.
Yeah.
Some say he's distorting markets, creating bubbles,
Huh?
stifling competition even. And then there's the whole AI thing. Like, what if it develops in ways we don't expect?
Yep.
or can't control.
It's a lot to think about. But one thing's for sure, Masayoshi Son. He's not afraid of big ideas or taking risks. And whether his vision of the future actually happens or not, his story shows us that. Even a world that's like more and more about data and algorithms,
Yeah.
there's still room for intuition, risk-taking,
Mm.
and just going after your dreams.
This story really makes us think differently about how tech affects our lives, what innovation really means, and what happens when a few people have so much power,
Yeah, it's a conversation we need to be having.
especially as we move further into the 21st century.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Masayoshi Son, I guess the question is still out there. Is he a genius or a gambler? Or maybe both.
Maybe neither.
Yeah, maybe he's something else entirely.
Maybe he's in a category of his own.
But no matter what, his story is fascinating. It makes you think about ambition, risk, and this pursuit of a future that honestly only he can really see.
And that's what makes him so interesting, so mysterious, and I don't know, just unforgettable.
So there you have it, our deep dive into Masayoshi Son, a guy who continues to amaze and confuse us all. We hope you enjoyed this journey into the mind of one of tech's most intriguing figures. Till next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.